Throughout history, a handful of men reshaped the world through war, strategy, and unstoppable ambition. Some built empires so massive they stretched across continents. Others changed military history forever. Today we're counting down the top 10 greatest conquerors in history, ranked by power, influence, and empire size. From kings who ruled the ancient world to warriors who terrified entire civilizations. These are the leaders who conquered nations and carved their names into history. Let's begin. Number 10. Shaka Zulu, the warrior king who transformed southern Africa forever. Before Shaka, the Zulu were just a small tribe. Yet through brutal discipline and relentless ambition, he forged one of Africa's most feared kingdoms. With cold determination, Shaka redesigned the tools of war. He replaced the long throwing spear with the deadly short-stabbing Iklewa. Warfare changed from a distant exchange to a ruthless clash at arm's length, face-to-face, and utterly unforgiving. Training was relentless. Every warrior drilled until exhaustion, forged for victory through pain and unwavering loyalty. Under Shaka's command, discipline was the law, and hesitation meant death. He introduced aggressive formations to the battlefield, like the unstoppable bullhorn attack, line splitting, encircling, and crushing enemies trapped in terror. The result was an empire built in blood and fear, as the Zulu expanded with breathtaking speed, conquering their neighbors and rewriting the balance of power across southern Africa. Even today, Shaka remains a legend, a military genius whose legacy echoes in the whispers of warriors and the chronicles of history. Next is Hannibal, the man who nearly destroyed Rome. Hannibal became legendary during the Second Punic War. He marched an army, including war elephants, across the Alps to invade Italy. The journey itself seemed impossible, but Hannibal succeeded. He crushed Roman armies again and again, using brilliant tactics, especially at the Battle of Cannae, where tens of thousands of Roman soldiers were surrounded and annihilated. Although he ultimately lost the war, Hannibal's military genius is still studied in military academies today. Known as the Scourge of God, Attila the Hun spread terror across Europe. Leading the Huns in the 5th century, Attila launched devastating invasions against both the Eastern and Western Roman empires. Cities were burned, armies were crushed, entire populations fled in fear of his arrival. Attila built a vast empire stretching across Central and Eastern Europe, and his name became synonymous with destruction and conquest. Even centuries later, stories of Attila continued to frighten people across Europe.
At number 7 is Julius Caesar, one of Rome's greatest military commanders and statesmen. Caesar conquered Gaul, which includes much of modern-day France and parts of surrounding countries, dramatically expanding Roman territory. His victories made him incredibly popular with both his army and the Roman people. But Caesar didn't stop there. He crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an act of rebellion that triggered a civil war and changed Rome forever. His rise eventually led to the fall of the Roman Republic and the birth of the Roman Empire.
At number 6 is Sultan Mehmed II. In 1453, Mehmed accomplished what many thought was impossible. He conquered Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Using giant cannons, naval strategy, and relentless assaults, the young Ottoman Sultan finally broke through the city's legendary walls. The fall of Constantinople shocked the world and marked the end of the Byzantine Empire. After his victory, the Ottoman Empire became one of the most powerful empires in history. Next is Timur, one of the most feared conquerors the world has ever seen. Also known as Tamerlane, Timur rose from Central Asia and built a massive empire through ruthless warfare and brilliant military strategy. His armies moved with terrifying speed, crushing kingdoms across Persia, Mesopotamia, India, and parts of the Middle East. But Timur wasn't just feared for his victories. He became infamous for his brutality. Entire cities that resisted him were destroyed. Towers made from the skulls of defeated enemies were left behind as warnings to others. Yet despite the destruction, Timur considered himself a successor to the Mongol Empire and dreamed of becoming the greatest conqueror in history. By the time of his death, millions had fallen during his campaigns, and his empire stretched across vast parts of Asia.
At number 4 is Napoleon Bonaparte, the military genius who conquered Europe. Napoleon rose from humble beginnings during the chaos of the French Revolution and quickly proved himself as one of history's greatest commanders. His battlefield tactics were revolutionary. He moved armies faster than his enemies thought possible, overwhelmed opponents with precision attacks, and won stunning victories against larger coalitions. At the height of his power, Napoleon controlled or dominated most of Europe. Kings feared him. Empires united against him. Yet again and again, Napoleon defeated coalition armies across the continent. But his ambition pushed him too far. His disastrous invasion of Russia weakened his empire, and after years of war, he was finally defeated at Waterloo. Even so, Napoleon's influence on warfare, politics, and law still shapes the modern world today.
At number 3 is Cyrus the Great, the founder of the mighty Persian Empire. More than 2,500 years ago, Cyrus united the Persian tribes and began one of the greatest expansions in ancient history. He conquered Media, Lydia, and eventually Babylon, one of the richest cities in the world. But what made Cyrus different from many conquerors was how he ruled after victory. Instead of destroying local cultures, he often allowed conquered people to keep their religions and traditions. This approach helped stabilize his rapidly growing empire and earned him respect even among defeated populations. Under Cyrus, Persia became the first true superpower of the ancient world, stretching across enormous territories and connecting multiple civilizations under one empire. At number 2 is Alexander the Great, the undefeated conqueror who shocked the ancient world. Tutored by the philosopher Aristotle and trained for war from a young age, Alexander became king at just 20 years old. But within only a few years, he achieved what many thought impossible. He defeated the powerful Persian Empire, conquered Egypt, and marched his armies thousands of miles into Asia and India. Alexander often fought alongside his own soldiers on the front lines, earning their loyalty and admiration. His victories at battles like Issus and Gaugamela became legendary for their speed, strategy, and boldness. And perhaps most incredible of all, Alexander never lost a major battle. By the age of 32, he had created one of the largest empires in the ancient world. Even centuries later, military leaders still study his campaigns as masterpieces of warfare.
And finally, at number 1 is Genghis Khan, the conqueror who built the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Born into hardship on the harsh Mongolian steppes, Genghis Khan began life as an outcast. But through leadership, intelligence, and ruthless determination, he united the scattered Mongol tribes into a single unstoppable force. What followed changed world history forever. The Mongol armies moved with incredible speed, using horseback archery, psychological warfare, and strict military discipline to destroy enemy kingdoms. Cities across China, Central Asia, Persia, and Eastern Europe fell before them. Entire empires collapsed under Mongol invasion. But Genghis Khan's legacy wasn't only destruction. His empire also helped expand trade routes, communication, and cultural exchange across Eurasia, through what became known as the Pax Mongolica. At its peak, the Mongol Empire stretched across millions of square miles, larger than any contiguous empire before or since. More than any conqueror in history, Genghis Khan reshaped the world.
So, which conqueror do you think was the greatest of all time? Was it Alexander's undefeated legacy? Napoleon's military genius? Or Genghis Khan's unstoppable empire? Comment your ranking below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and join us for more epic history countdowns.